Welcome, everybody. I am Justin Lomness. This is the Lunatic Libertarian. I am here with my man, Ken Mathis, running for McHenry County School Board District 1, and it is Easter Sunday. So how you doing there, Ken?
Real good. It's not school board. I know nothing about kids. I'm running for McHenry County Board.
Did I say school board? I thought
You
I
said
just
school
said
board.
county board. Still all jacked up, can't talk. So why don't you let the people know how you joined the Liberty Movement, how long you've been involved, and what made you want to run for this particular public office seat?
Well, I found the Libertarian Party probably about 20 years ago. I was living in a neighborhood about a mile away from an AM broadcast tower. So every, electrical device in the house, the TVs, anything would play this one AM station. And they were a right-wing conservative talk radio station, but they played the Neil Bortz show. And Neil Bortz called himself a libertarian. He was sort of part of the party, but he was very much libertarian mindset. And he was a great radio host, had an interesting show. So a couple of weeks of listening to his show and I was hooked. I've been calling myself a libertarian ever since. Like I said, that was 2002, 2003. I finally signed up and joined the party in 2017, the beginning of 2017, not necessarily because of the election, but maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And it was about 2 years ago. I was driving down the road and I saw one of these signs, Danny Maloff for Senate, and I Googled him, and he went to the same high school as me, and he's about 10 years younger than me. And I'm like, holy shit, there's a libertarian running. I'm going to support him. I'm going to reach out, see what I can do. I've already been collecting signatures for the party at that time. We always need to get ballot petition signatures to get on the ballot for the election. So I would check out the state's party website, and whenever they were looking for help like that, I would do it. But up until Danny ran, that was the most I ever got involved. When he ran, I called him. I said, hey, give me some signs. I'll put them up everywhere. I'll do whatever you need me to do. Got to meet him a couple of times. And one time when he came over, it was right here out on my back porch. He asked me, so how come you never go to local meetings? And I'm like, I don't think that I have time. And I knew that as soon as I said it, like I felt like shit. And I'm like, I know that's a lie. Of course I have time. So that's when I started going to the meetings. And because of that, now I'm running for office. We had two people run for countywide positions in 2020, and they did really well. When it was Republican versus Libertarian, those were the only two choices. The Libertarians got between 25 and 30%. So because of that, we have established party status. They were looking for people to run. I was looking for something to do, and now I'm on the ballot.
Roger that. Do you have all the signatures you need right now for ballot access?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have them for us in the county because we have the established party status. Statewide, it's a different story.
Okay.
We're running a full slate. So we've got 7 people going for the statewide positions. And we need to get 25,000 signatures in 3 months in order to secure our spot on the statewide ballot. But I got all the ones that I need for my election.
Are you guys secure that you guys are going to reach that mark so that you can get everybody on the state ballot?
Are we secure? No, we're trying. We're going to do our best. It will happen. It's always happened in the past, but It's going to take work. And it's not, it's like Jim Morrison said, you can't petition the Lord with prayer.
Right.
You don't just, ask for it to happen and have it happen. You got to put in the work. So Bill Redpath, he's our Senate candidate, and he is in charge of our ballot initiative. He's actually the ballot access coordinator for the national party. He used to be the LNC chair. He's been around the Libertarian Party forever. But he is championing our efforts. When we say we need 25,000, you always shoot for more than that. So we're trying to get more like 50,000.
Well, it's always to be better off having more than what you need, right? Just in case signatures are invalidated or anything like that, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And you never know. Somebody might sign and not understand what they're signing. They might be somebody from out of state, or they might say that they're registered to vote when they're really not. Or you might get a prankster. You might get somebody who just writes in, "No, I'm Bugs Bunny," and I'm
Right.
So yeah, but we will get it done. But it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money. We try to get all the free signatures from volunteers like me who go out and get the petition signed. But when it gets down to the end and we don't have enough, we have to pay people to go out and get them.
Right.
The going rate right now is about $5 a signature.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good job. If anybody's interested, I can put you in touch with Bill, and we can get you out on the street probably today.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys down in Illinois though, with your COVID restrictions and your great governor that you got down there, and Mr. What Pritzker,
The Porcelain Prince, J.B.
Pritzker, yeah, the guy that's telling everybody about health, and he looks like he's just a bill of health himself. What's going to be your first agenda that you want to try and get momentum on if you do receive the seat for county board?
Well, I'm doing the campaign. I want to run and I want to win. And if I win, I will serve. But the point of the campaign is to highlight our party, get more people coming into the meetings like Danny did for me. When I get elected, when I start serving, I will pretty much automatically be a no vote on any spending bill, any tax increase. But I have a specific plank, a specific topic that I want to concentrate my efforts on, and it's reducing the number of units of government, the number of taxing bodies.
Okay.
I actually got some statistics from somebody who came to one of our meetings, a guy named Bob Anderson, and he has detailed how we have more government than Texas, even though Texas is larger and more populated. So the main thing that I want to publicly say that I'm doing and actually try to accomplish it when I can in whatever ways that I can is cut the number of governments, cut the number of taxing bodies. We've got some ridiculous situations here in my county where the local community college has their own police department, and just so
it's not a private entity. It's not private security. It's an actual public police force.
It's a municipality. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like that all over the place with forest preserve, and not just in terms of police. There's overkill. There's bureaucratic sprawl, as you might call it. Any time that they can take control of anything, that's what they do. And
and it's another tax grab, which is just going to cost you more money in the long run, right?
Mm-hmm. And all you're paying for is the administrators, the people at the top. The money at the bottom where the tax money should be spent. That's not where it goes. It all ends up with these administrators, and it goes to the red tape factory, basically.
Do you have any figures of how much money that would actually save the taxpayers in your county?
No, I haven't done that math yet. It's hard to get in and get access to all of the figures. And that's another thing that when I win, I want to be very transparent through things like social media and other outreach. I'm going to be very clear with people about how I plan to vote and see what their opinions are. But every issue that comes forward, I'm going to be talking about it before I vote on it on social media and through other ways to be soliciting as much input, as much feedback as I can. Something I want to do different than the current establishment.
Do you actually have to put in like a freedom of information request for any of that? Is that stuff on a state level, or is that just something that's running through my head as far as like a barrier?
I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. When anybody's talking about their reducing government, we all know that reduction of government is going to harm some people in some ways, and it's going to help a lot of people in a majority of ways. So when I talk about hurting people, I'm talking about the people that actually are employed by the government. They'll lose their position, and then they'll have to find actually employment in the private sector. But do you think that the situation as far as what's going on in your county, that people can transition from job to job pretty easy if government institutions are closed?
I'd say so, yeah. Skills are skills, and whether you use them in the government or private sector, if you're a valuable person, you're going to find a job, especially when we have a lot of people just fleeing Illinois. And so we have a pretty good job market right now.
Do you think that people are really skeptical about government right now, just given all the 2 years of the COVID restrictions and stuff like that? But do you think that there's also a population that has a good volume of people that believe in the COVID restrictions, believe the government's trying to do the best for them, and are going to try and fight that wholeheartedly if you try and reduce government like you're trying to do?
It's hard to say. In our particular area, people are tired of the masks, the mask mandates, the vaccine mandates, especially. But um, we stopped wearing masks long before we were allowed to. We were a lot like Florida in that regard, and it's not 100% of people. Obviously, there's still people out wearing masks, which is cool. I get it. If you want to wear one, I'm not going to stop you from it. But I'm afraid that they might be a little bit overly concerned, and maybe they have their own personal, health situations that I don't know of or whatever. But I think that we've had enough, and if they try to bring back mask mandates, it's not going to. It's just not going to work. We've had enough, and every time that they overreach like this, it's like the boy who cried wolf. They're going to be less effective when there is a serious crisis, and people aren't going to listen. So,
Okay. Well, if I was a person, say like a progressive, or I claim to be a progressive, what would be your sales pitch to me as far as what reduction of government would really do for me as an individual? Let's say I receive state welfare or public assistance and stuff like that. What would be your sales pitch to me of what this libertarian lunatic idea is going to be about? Holy shit, you're going to take away the government that's actually providing me stuff so that I can survive, like my food, water, shelter, and clothing.
well, I'm not trying to take anybody's life away from them. I'm not trying to take anybody's substance. And what I would say is a argument why you should vote for me is I am not a politician. I don't come from the two-party system, and I'm actually advocating for whoever wants to be on the ballot to be on the ballot. Whoever wants to be in the debate should be having their voice heard in the debate. We should have more than just the two parties that control things. And frankly, if you're in a lower class, you don't have the two-party choice. You're basically just represented by the Democrats. And you can even see this in the way that they draw maps. They call it redistricting. I call it gerrymandering. When you've got, a Congress line that runs right through the middle of, the right side of the tracks is the Republican area, the wrong side of the tracks is the Democrat. I'm trying to shake up that whole system, get everybody represented. If you're with the Green Party, if you're with the socialists, I don't think that you shouldn't be on the ballot because of that. I think that you should, and I think that you should be in the debates. And I'm the only one saying that. You're not going to see a Democrat or a Republican arguing for full ballot access, full government transparency like you'll get from me.
And do you see when you interact with people and let them know that you're running for county board, do you see them grasping on to trying to talk to you about, hey, if we did this and this and this, what would be the result? Do you see any kind of problems as far as voting is concerned to get your initiatives passed?
What I see from the people is when I tell them I'm running, they're like, good for you. Take it to them. Let's fight the system. Not necessarily bring it down. People, a lot of them are like, oh yeah, screw them. Let's tear it all down. A lot of others are like, we need a good person like you to get in there and inspire them, show them how it's supposed to be. Have people who aren't politicians in government, people who are citizen statesmen. What was the last part of your question? If they were asking, what was it?
Do you think that you would run into any problems with the voting process to get your initiatives passed?
With us cutting our board from 24 down to 18 members, my vote will be more significant than it would have been. And I also want to work on coalitions, building agreements on topics where I can with the other parties. But systematically voting, it's going to be the challenge that it's always been. So it's going to take a long time to get better systems, things like ranked choice voting implemented.
Do you have a lot of county members that have been there for a long time?
Yes. Yeah, we have a couple of outsiders who won in 2020, but for the most part, the entire slate of people running right now consists of incumbents, with a couple of exceptions. But yeah, these are pretty much an entrenched group of people.
Do you think that people feel secure with voting for the same people over and over again, just when it comes to voting, even though none of the initiatives that they're actually passing is to their benefit?
They have up until recently. That's the thing that definitely happens. It's happening less so. But the other part of that is what I was talking about. There's not many choices. You've got one or two Republicans, one or two Democrats, and that's it. So they become popular just because they win, because they're the only choices. We've got plenty of races in the past where it's vote for two out of the following one person. So it's all about getting more people involved, more people running, and more voices heard.
Okay. Do you think there's any stigmas attached to the name Libertarian that you have to worry about?
I do, yeah. And it's not before 2-3 years ago, I didn't hear much about libertarians in the news. I just knew that I was one because of the, sort of the insider experience I had, talk radio and all that. But you don't hear about libertarians in the mainstream largely unless it's, there is a particular libertarian who's acting crazy or gets a bad reputation, this and that, whatever. So it is a challenge. I'm not afraid of it, and I want to put myself forward as an example of this is what a libertarian actually is. It's a concern, but I'm not letting it stop me. And it is sort of an unfair concern. The people who I know who are libertarians are not crazy. There's a real strong mix of minarchists and anarchists, yeah, but we're not violent. We're not sociopathic, radical people like
This guy right here. This guy right here.
We take an
I'm a
oath.
lunatic. I'm totally about, let's go in there, just remove these peoples from their positions. They're no longer providing a service. They're trying to dictate.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're no longer a public servant, you become a dictator. And the love of power, the love of the ability of self progression through backdoor deals or contracts or whatever that we are not disclosed to as the public. I have a big problem with that, especially since, I'm a vet and I raise my hand to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So it's like, yeah, that stuff hits real hard to home with me. And I think a lot of these people, even on the local level, pass agendas that either help their families or help business partners and so on and so forth.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I've got a lot of the same concerns and the same feelings. We all agree as official libertarians, when you take the pledge and start kicking in the money, and especially when you start to go for office, we sign on to what's called the non-aggression principle, that you're not going to use force or coercion, aggression, violence against anybody to get your way. And if we were to do those things, we would be better than what we're fighting against. And so it's an important barrier to keep that, to keep our work in the realm of words instead of arms. But yeah, no, I feel the frustration, and my heart is with you.
I think that a lot of people take what I say out of context also when I'm talking about being a libertarian, that it will be aggressive when it comes to campaigning or being aggressive as far as uh, exposing or bringing to illumination the corruption as far as the opponent of the politician. Politics is not a clean sport. It is a very dirty sport. So we can see that within just the Libertarian Party in itself on a national level.
Yeah, it's a
So
hostile work environment.
correct, and I think that when people talk about the NAP or the non-aggression principle, what I see is that if you are going to be aggressive against me as far as political posture or positioning, trying to get your message heard as a larger voice than mine or whatever, obviously I don't think the NAP really applies because you're not physically being violent with somebody. You're just applying the same political principles that are just there as far as what we have, as far as the duopoly and how they play games. You have to play the same games and start using their tactics if you really want exposure. That's just my own personal opinion. So, I mean, what is your thought process on that? I mean, do you think that libertarians, if they do say, I'm a person that is a non aggressive principle compliance person, then what does it really mean to be aggressive to get your political agenda passed?
Hmm. Well, there's a difference between being aggressive and being assertive. We are not at the level that the other parties are at in terms of ground game, having people who are precinct committeemen going around knocking on doors, spreading the message, putting up all the yard signs, even doing things like sending in letters to the editor. Um, Being assertive would be more like it would be for us to have established uh, methods like they have, using their kind of methodology, their game plan, which it's different than what you're talking about with being aggressive. I think that a lot of the aggression that they have worked into the system, they don't call it aggression because that's not what they call it, or they're not going to prosecute themselves, but we see it happening all the time. There was just another police shooting in was it Grand Rapids, Michigan, a couple days ago. So there's
I don't pay much attention to the national news unless it's something that I grasp as I'm going through different news sources. I mean, and sometimes it's just from an ad that I see while I'm online. So, I mean, I haven't heard about that one yet. But when we look at police violence, whether it's the quote unquote criminal against the quote unquote police officer, because we have to understand that a policy officer is a person that's out there to enforce the laws as policy. But yet again, these are individuals that will pick and choose which policies are probably the most profitable or the most popular to enforce. Because then it's easy paperwork if you can get into a rhythm. Oh, all I do are DUIs, or all I do are drug narcotic stops, or whatever it may be. Then the paperwork process becomes easier, and then your job becomes easier because you know exactly which laws are being violated, how to work within those laws as far as prosecution, how to testify to those laws, so on and so forth. Because yet again, it's just tax on the other end. It may not be, and I think the harm that comes into stuff like that with policy enforcement, because we talk about public policy, and that's why you're no longer a peace officer, you're a police officer. So, I'm not a big guy for back in the blue, but I'm not a big fan of all the policies that they have to enforce anyway.
no, and it's a little bit ridiculous that if you don't pay your water bill, or if you drive through the tollway, without a transponder or whatever, eventually it's going to come to the point that somebody with a gun comes to see you at your house.
Yes.
So we need to find other ways to solve these problems and get the government just out of the equation.
I completely agree. Now, I have a question since you mentioned the tollway. Is the tollway actually owned by a Saudi prince?
The tollway is owned by the state toll highway authority. So we'd have to look into the owners of the state toll highway authority and go back and research, and maybe I could use that advice about use FOIA, Freedom of Information, to get into that. And that's just here in Illinois. How many toll roads are there nationwide? Not to
Right.
mention, we've got some private toll bridges coming up here. One is just outside of my county. So McHenry County won't be dealing with that, but our residents will be riding on it every day.
Right. And one of the reasons I bring it up is because in the Chicago Tribune, they ran an article in 2017 while Trump was still president. And it included Blackrock, which is the $1 trillion corporation that's buying up a shit ton of properties across the United States, a ton of land, a ton of assets. Well, the Saudis are backing Blackrock as well. They're a part of that group.
Oh, wow.
So that's the only reason I ask.
Yeah. Well, they might be one of the partners in the Chicago Skyway too. That was the toll road between Chicago and Indiana that Mayor Daley sold off for pennies on the dollar when they had a budget crisis about 10 years ago.
Yeah, that thing was pretty old, and it was not modern. It was not meant for modern traffic vehicle. That thing, and it was scary to go across that fucker sometimes because the damage, the potholes, everything else, and I went through it not that long ago, and it was actually pretty nice.
Well, it's private sector money that's running it now, so they've got the incentive to take care of it.
Is it the Saudis? I don't know. I'm trying to get my journalistic background, and I'm trying to play that role. Do the Saudis actually own, and are American people paying Saudis for not only the fuel that goes into their vehicles to cross the tollway, but then they're paying them to actually use the roads in their states? And I can't get behind that. I hate owning an iPass just to go drag racing. I fucking hate it.
They don't even let you pay cash now.
I know, because
they took away the cash option. It's
all because of COVID too. It was easy but think of that. That was an individual that, I don't know, they made what, $8, $9, $10 an hour to stand there and receive federal notes and give back federal notes. So but they eliminated all those jobs, which, it's a reduction of government, which, good on you. Now it's all automated, but when they push automation, it's a slippery slope, because you still need human intervention when automation goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. And they're not passing the savings along at all. We still pay the same price on our iPass.
Well, and they tell you that they just found another place to spend the money.
Right.
And then they need more money to spend because they found other places to spend money. But if they would just actually stop taking your money and allowing you to spend it where you want to, it'd be a completely different story.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I brought up an idea one time on, I don't know if it was Clubhouse or another podcast, or if it was on a Zoom or something. Why don't all the 501c3s get together and stop competing for the government money and just combine all their funding, which is billions of dollars. When you talk about every single one that's listed in the entire country, it's billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. They go into these 501 C3s, and then it's kind of funny that most of that funding goes into property and to staff, and it doesn't actually go to anything else. It's just another business for public funds.
Mm-hmm. It's that red tape. It's the administrative layer at the top. The CEOs, the CFOs, in my opinion, who aren't necessary and who all do the same thing. And take out that. It's like the guy in the movie Office Space. I'm sure you've seen the movie Office Space. You can't have the engineers talking to the customers.
Right.
We know that these people are just in the business of making themselves necessary. Just they're in the job. Their job is to make themselves have a job.
Correct. And that's pretty much it. And when you talk to people, and especially as a libertarian perspective, one of the things I brought up is we need to be necessary until we're no longer necessary. If we can change and influence people to be more self-sufficient, more trustworthy to each other. There's get rid of the public barricades that, licensing laws and zoning laws and all this other crap that is implemented to limit actual free market business. I mean, we could really be on the upside down of this and be, 90 trillion in black going, what do you want to do? Let's tell all the people actually going to public school that, we're going to start paying the children to go. And by the time they're done in 18, they're going to have money in the bank for the entire time that we told them that we had to control their clock from the time they're 5 years old all the way up until the time they're 18.
And the flip side of that is how much money is going out the door every day in interest on our debt that we've just managed the money. We've hired, not the citizens, but
correct.
We have put people in charge who are such horrible money managers that we are bleeding to death, literally, of money. And
they keep asking for more. We have absolutely no idea of the accountability of where the money goes.
Yeah.
I mean, there should be a budget that is put out every single day. This is where your money went, as it's $10 billion. Okay, here's exactly where it is to the penny.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be hard. They're the government, right? It's all digital. There's just somebody clicking a button. It's all digital dollars rolling across the screen to people's accounts. And here you go. This is where it went. Boom, 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 boom. And then we paid ourselves back, which I still don't understand.
Well, I'm looking forward to Tuesday night. I'm going to be attending a McHenry County Board meeting. I've been invited there because I'm a member of our emergency management agency. I'm a volunteer with the search and rescue team, and this is volunteer week in Illinois. So the county board has asked everybody to come and be recognized, and I'll actually be there. And I don't know if they realize that I'm going to be running against them in November, but they'll know it by the time the meeting is over. It's going to be a fun night.
Hopefully you guys just take a tripod and set up a little camera in the corner where nobody can actually recognize it or pay attention to it and actually get them on camera. Or do you guys actually make your meetings public?
The meetings are public, and they're a mix. I think there's still a hybrid of in-person and Zoom call, but everybody we all need to have better technology. When you go on one of their Zoom calls, it's one fixed camera. I mean, my church has a better presence on the internet than this place. So.
But it shows you where they probably said they spent thousands and thousands of dollars on these resources and they don't know how to use it. Mm-hmm. And it's just sitting there in limbo. And then, now I have all this stuff that I have to get rid of. So my new budget, I can spend the money again.
Yeah. That's what they do. It's the old game. I love that scene and I'm a movie guy. I'm sorry I keep bringing up movies, but
I'm a movie guy too. When we were talking on Clubhouse, this is something I think we recognized.
Yeah, the movie Falling Down, Michael Douglas.
Great fucking movie.
What's wrong with the road? Movie. What's wrong with the road? Nothing's wrong with the road. I'll give you something to fix.
Why doesn't this look like what's on the picture? I want it to look like it's on the picture.
Somebody tell me what's wrong with this burger.
It's we start serving lunch now. It's like 10:59 or it's like 2 minutes after or something. He's like, you're telling me you have no breakfast back there that is just going to get thrown away, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, I just want breakfast. It's just fucking, that movie's great. I love that movie because it shows somebody who gets caught up in the rat race. If you haven't watched this movie, it's with Michael Douglas called Falling Down. It's from 91?
Sometime in the early 90s, yeah.
And he's a guy that was some kind of brilliant guy, went up to the office every single day, worked for the government.
Built missiles.
And he lost his wife, lost his child because that's all he knew was that get up, go to work, come home. Get up, go to work, come home. Get up, go to work, come home. Deal with the same bullshit every single day. And then one day he just fucking snaps. And he had been fired for his job for, I forget how long it is in the movie. It's probably for a couple of weeks or something. And yeah, he just loses it, and he's like, I'm going home. I'm going to get my wife back and my child. And it's a fucking wild ride that he goes through in Los Angeles. So
he was the inspiration for the Simpsons character Frank Grimes, who was the guy who came in and worked at the power plant until he freaked out at Homer because Homer was so successful, even though he was such a doofus.
who did his voice? Wasn't it the comedian that actually got killed by his wife?
Let's see. I'm going to Google that. Who did Frank Grimes' voice?
Yeah, and I think it was a guy who got killed by his wife. He used to be on Saturday Night Live. Joe Rogan talks about him all the time.
Oh, well, you're talking about Phil Hartman.
Yep.
Yeah, that might have been him. Phil Hartman had a lot of roles on The Simpsons. He was
a reoccurring
well, he was
all the time.
Lionel Hutz and Troy McClure. He was those two for sure. He might have been Frank Grimes. I'm not sure. Oh, I loved Phil Hartman was great in the movie CB4. I don't know if we've ever seen that. Chris Rock.
Oh, sweat from my balls. I'm
Yep.
from Milwaukee, bro. That was something that as a kid was completely inappropriate, but we watched that shit. And the big old balls on stage and the fucking Jerry curl juices and them doing the whole Run DMC and the tape fucking up in the deck. And that whole movie is great. That Chris Rock was great in that movie. Charlie Murphy was great in that movie. Yeah.
Even Chris Elliott was great at playing the white boy.
And then you had the guy with the voice problem, and he's like, "The baritone, bitch." And then he had that laugh. Yeah, it was. Yeah. That shit was great. And then they made fun of MC Hammer with the fucking pants.
Yep.
And he beats the shit out of dude in his casket. He's like, "Where's my money, motherfucker? Wow. Where's my money, motherfucker? Wow."
I think that was Jamie Foxx.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was not Jamie Foxx. It was another guy who I think he was on a sitcom show that might have been on the WB after that, but I don't remember his name. But yeah, I remember all that stuff, dude. I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, when they were over gold. And that was actually Chris Rock's first movie when he was trying to order one rib from Isaac Hayes and Jim Brown at the rib shop. Yeah. No. One rib. One rib. Yeah, I'm sure I'm hungry. How much you got soda? $1. Man, come on, man. How about you let me get a sip for 15 cents? My cups cost more than 15 cents. Come on, man. Fuck a cup. Pour it in my hand for a dime. Shit was fucking hilarious. But yeah, I'm a big movie buff too myself, and it's I think that's a part of the era. I mean, I was born in '83, but we that was a way for mom to keep us in the house, is not be in the street, is just to entertain us with all kind of movies and stuff. So yep. I mean, that's one of the but I think that people can derive a lot of what our influences are, what we're supposed to be influenced by. And there's a lot of storytelling that was done in movies back in those days, which is not done now. Now it is a complete dictation of what you're supposed to think, how you're supposed to say stuff and shit like that. So most modern movies I don't get into. I like the older stuff like Evil Dead, the original. I like Evil Dead 2, which is even fucking more hilarious because it's basically the same story told over again. I love Army of Darkness. I don't know if you've ever seen I, Madman. It's where a fucking guy comes out of a book doing crazy shit. I mean, there's a lot of movies that I saw back in the day. The Stuff. I don't know if you remember that. It was some kind of alien movie with some like marshmallow ooze that was taking people over as far as aliens.
Okay, yeah, I think I've probably seen that. I'm a little bit older than you. I was born in '79, so.
And then there was Critters and shit like that. Those crazy ass like Porcupine, which I thought was the inspiration for Sonic the Hedgehog, to tell you the truth, because they rolled around and they throw spikes at you. Hellraiser, another crazy ass movie. I think that one fucked a lot of people up. And then there was Elm Street, Friday the 13th. That was all the stuff that I grew up with.
Well, we had a couple famous movies filmed right around here. We mentioned Chris Elliott before. The movie Groundhog Day was filmed in Woodstock, Illinois, and the what they call the Pennsylvanian Hotel in that movie is actually the Woodstock Opera House, which is a little community theater that's haunted, by the way. It's a lady named Elvira who's a ghost who lives there.
Has Ghost Hunter been there?
Oh, I'm not sure. I bet that's a great question. I don't know. I don't think so. She might be too scary for them.
Well, Major League was filmed in Milwaukee. Mr. 3000. What else was filmed there? Transformers, I know, was filmed with the new Milwaukee Art Museum. But I know Major League, they used County Stadium before it was torn down and replaced with Miller Park.
I remember. I went to a few games at the old County Stadium. And I love Bob Uecker. He's great in that movie. Just a little outside.
And he's just getting shit-faced and drinking Jack Daniels straight. Like, he pours his drink, he spills a little, he takes his, gets a little luck behind the ear, and there he goes. But Bob Uecker was a pretty average catcher as an actual Major League ball player. And then he wasn't that bad of an actor on Mr. Belvedere either.
No, he was great.
Another 80s sitcom. We had Mr. Belvedere, or was that the late 70s?
No, that was 80s.
You had Webster, Punky Brewster, a bunch of fucking shit when you grew up. Family Matters was a big one.
And a lot of them had ex-athletes, like
Yes.
Bob Uecker and George Karras on Webster. So it's like, oh, you're no good on the field anymore. Let's see how you are behind the camera.
Well, and you have people nowadays that are telling people to stay in their lane. This is your expertise. You can't branch out and learn anything else. This is just what you're supposed to know because this is your secular fucking idea that we tell you that you're supposed. This is your lane. But people forget there are people. I can try and consider myself as a Renaissance man. I can do drywall. I can do automotive. I can do diesel. I can do small engine. I can do framing. I can do roofing. Pretty much the skilled trades. And then anything else as far as like when you're talking nutrition and stuff like that, try and get the best information. But yet again, we have campaigns as far as our nutrition, as far as what government says, because, you have the Department of Health. And they told us for years that eating shit tons of bread was good for you.
Yeah.
Which we know is horrible. Eat
Mhm.
vegetables.
Mhm.
But yet again, we had Got Milk campaigns, which everybody got paid off of that. You remember the absolute billboards that were everywhere with that? Brett Favre, everybody
had the milk.
Urlacher,
Yep.
everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another industry campaign that is lobbyists trying to influence the consumer to purchase their product more.
Mm-hmm.
And the government's allowing it.
Yeah, not just allowing it. I'm sure there's some federal money in there. It's atrocious.
And the lies that we're told versus what is the truth. And that's why I think that there's a lot of people that are skeptical nowadays of what is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trump tripped it all up with fake news and all kinds of other shit like that because he's an actor billionaire.
Yeah.
Literally, he's an actor billionaire, Ponzi schemes kind of guy.
Right.
And it is what it is. But, I mean, people idolize this guy.
Yeah, I don't get it. And I'm kind of a Renaissance man like you. I used to manage gas stations before I got into my current job. But I was taking flying lessons when I was 15 years old. My plan was to be a pilot, was to be an airline pilot. And that didn't quite
work. Were you influenced about John Travolta, by that way?
Not so much. I always sort of looked up to him, and I always liked the idea of somebody being successful enough that they could own their own jetliner. So he's sort of not exactly a role model or anything like that, but no, I think fondly of him. Something about him personally as a pilot, he that pilots use checklists.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
oh
so
yes.
John Travolta uses checklists in his personal life. Like he has a checklist for his car. Like every time he goes to drive, he'll walk around the car and kick the tires. So he's like a little bit too crazy about checklists. But then again, at the same time, that's a good trait to have. You're not supposed to be
Do you
overly
think that's
cautious. So
do you think that's something that he developed as the more tasks that he was given and the more directions that he was supposed to put people through as far as direction with Scientology, that he had to actually have all those checklists? Okay, this is what I'm doing now. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to do this, and then the next thing is going to be boom, 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 because everything was scheduled out for him. I've seen that a lot of libertarians don't hold a very strict schedule.
yeah.
So that's the only reason I mention that.
Well, it's possible. He had his great career in the 70s, and then he sort of fell apart. And if it wasn't for Pulp Fiction, he wouldn't have had been the success that he is now. So I think that changes people when they get that close to call it rock bottom or whatever. And I'm not saying that he had any substance problems or anything like that, but everybody's rock bottom is different. And I was there. I had a bankruptcy 11 years ago. Coming back from things like that make you extra careful to make sure that they never happen again. So
Correct.
Probably something like that going on with him, that he realizes I can't take any chances. This is my second time being successful, and I'm not going to screw it up again. So it's probably something like that. And I can identify with that.
I'm the same way too. I'm the same way too. I'm a suicide. I don't like being called a suicide survivor. I'm just a person that was lucky enough that somebody cared enough to fucking get me to the hospital so that I wouldn't die. So I'm not a survivor. But when you realize that your journey was not what it was supposed to be, and you had to make you had to change. You had to go from the right lane to the left lane, or just get off the freeway and U-turn. We're gonna restart from here, and then continue back on. Do you think that is something that inspired you as well, to see the roller coaster that the government actually portrays itself as, to try and get out there and use that experience, that life experience, and that skill to actually help people through government?
I had my own brush. I'd never made an attempt, but I was hospitalized when I had a DUI in May of 2011, and I drive for a living. I drive a cargo van. So, and I actually smoke a lot of pot. So once that happened, I had to quit smoking weed. I had to go into the classes, and at the end of the DUI classes, they give you a drug test. So smoking weed was out of the question. I was going to lose my driving job, so I was going to have to, probably start working in a factory. So I went from smoking pot all day, every day, to completely stopping. And so within about 2 weeks of not really sleeping well, I was at the point where I'm going to take myself to the hospital because I can't stop not thinking about suicide. But I never made an attempt. And those hospital bills, on top of all of the credit card debt that I had from before then and everything, just pushed me to the point where I've got to declare bankruptcy. And doing that and learning how to, first of all, how to admit defeat, and take the rebuilding process at one step at a time.
Right.
Learning how to do that is a very valuable skill. I actually lost my older brother to suicide in 2018, and he was always super successful, very rich, very popular. But he killed himself when he was 50 years old because he was facing a divorce, and that's it. So learning how to face a life falling apart is an important skill to have.
Yes. When you see everything that you built actually doesn't have any kind of value anymore.
Yes.
At a certain point in your life, you're just like, holy fuck, man. Everything I just worked my entire life for is fucking gone. Now I have to start from ground zero. And a lot of people like myself, I didn't want to go to the next journey. And, I made my, I did what I did, and, lucky enough that, the gods or whatever put somebody there to, grip me to the hospital. And last thing I remember was just getting strolled into the VA and, was last name and 4 digits of their social. And that was it. That's the last thing I remember.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But to go from that point to where now I wasn't When I woke up from that, the only thing I thought of is, why am I still here? It's the only thing I thought of. So if I was still there, I was like, okay, well, now it must be all about me. It must be all about me. And I'm gonna become a real selfish fucking person and stop fucking doing shit for Tom, Dick, Susan, Harry, Paul, and Pal, who just called you because you were the guy that, oh, you need help moving a pallet of fucking drywall, 10 by 12s or 10 by 8s or whatever the fuck they were, 10 by 4s. Let's go. Let's roll it out. Or you need your lawn cut, or you need this, or you need that. Not charging anybody a dime, just complete helping people out. And then you find out that you still worked hard and you had your financial stuff. I had a truck, I had a sound system, I had all this other shit I thought was important. Lost everything, found out what was really important, and was like, okay, well, I'm important, so fuck everybody else. I'm just gonna do me and go from there. And once I started doing that, I actually saw myself progressing through life as far as the economic system and stuff like that. But it was a lot of hard work, and shit didn't happen overnight, and it's still not happening overnight. Just like I was trying to get this live stream going, but yet again, trials and tribulations go for, have to wait 24 hours for my approval from YouTube to go live. But I'm not bitching, it is what it is. But, I'm all new to this. I think I've done leaps and bounds as far as the people that I've interviewed, as far as libertarians and the positions that they've held or hold now. So, And I think there's a lot of people out there that are tired of this current situation that they're in. They have a lot of good ideas to get past it. And I think that the only way is to keep spreading the message. I may know people or reach people that, people that have never heard of Libertarian Party or libertarianism or any of the philosophies or any of that shit. They really don't. And from where I come from, I don't care about the philosophy. I found a party that said that, hey, we're not out here to hurt people. We're out here to get rid of all the fucking barricades, all the fucking policies that have been put in place that make the restrictions on your life the way that they are. And I was like, sold.
Yeah. Well, you were talking before about how you've had expectations of how you're supposed to be that are put on you by other people. And that's the greatest thing about our philosophy, is that nobody owes you happiness and you don't owe anybody happiness. It's entirely up to yourself. And I'm an objectivist myself, so I believe that me being the best me for the purpose of benefiting me is also going to spread, sunshine to the rest of the world. But I'm doing it for me, and that's the greatest motivation that any person can have. And it's that individual nature that really brought the Libertarian Party into my heart. And now I'm a member of the platform committee. That's just something that just kind of worked its way through. And I like our platform. I'm going to see if we can find better ways to improve it. But I'm a libertarian not just because I look at the platform and I agree with each statement. That really is secondary. For me, we need to have another strong group fighting the establishment that's in government right now at their game, at their legislative, using the ballot box and using whatever, just the idea that I have to be certified, well, not so much certified, but the everything in the party, once you become an established party, goes through the Secretary of State, and we're going to have an official convention, and I have to track minutes and all of this. And politics shouldn't be regulated by the government.
No shit.
Especially when those laws are made by the entrenched politicians
who do not want opposition, just like exactly. Companies petition the government so that they don't have competition. Yeah, and that's why we don't currently have a free market.
Yeah. So my main thing is, let's build the Libertarian Party. Let's get us as a choice that people would actually vote for, and come along for the ride on the policy. You'll like what you see, but don't, if just us being a viable third choice, that should be good enough motivation for somebody to think about joining the party and at least check out the positions.
Right. And maybe not even join the party, but shit, at least throw your vote that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, support us. at least agree with us when we say that we should be on the ballot. We should be in the debates. How come Jo Jorgensen wasn't at one of the 2020 presidential debates? Her presence would have made them a lot better, would have made the questions a lot more important to everybody who was watching, and would have been better ratings. It would have been more money for the network. So that really, that last one should tell you that there is a big system in place to keep us out of the discussion and out of the debates and off the ballot.
Well, do you think letting an independent like Ross Perot on the debate stage back in the early 90s fucked it up for independents? Because he had good points.
Yeah, he fucked up a lot of things himself, by being wishy-washy. I'm in, I'm out, I'm in again.
But he was on the actual presidential stage. That's what I mean.
Yeah, and he was doing extremely well.
Yes.
He was going to win. So because that happened, they are on their toes. That's certainly true. And they're watching for us. But
do you think the National Party has a shot in actually becoming a one entity to where there's not secularism or anything like that? Do you think they can become one entity and try and get to that kumbaya stage to where actually people can get policy passed and cooperate with each other enough to where there's who gives a shit who has the control or who's passing what, as long as there's an ability to have more agreement than there is disagreement? Do you think that the National Party would be better off?
Okay, I thought you were asking, could they? Because they need to. They should. And eventually, everybody always does the right thing, but it's the last thing that always happens. So I'm hoping that that's what's happening in Reno in May. I'm going to be there. I'm a member of the Libertarian Choir. The LNC has a choir for the first time ever. And hopefully us.
What does that mean? Do you guys actually sing?
Yeah, we've got a couple of songs that we're singing.
Wait, are you a tenor, a bass?
I'm a baritone.
Baritone, okay.
Yeah. You've probably heard me singing on Clubhouse. I get a couple of beers in me and I start singing.
No, I haven't mentioned it because my wife has a bachelor's in vocal performance, and she's a mezzo soprano. So.
Oh, cool. And I was talking about the Opera House before. My dad was a longtime actor and singer in musicals at the Opera House. Everything from Oklahoma, South Pacific to
sweet.
What'd we do? Evita. So, yeah, a lot of
multi-talented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That Renaissance man, Ken Mattis. Am I saying your last name correctly?
You got it, Mattis. Okay. Like Mad Dog Mattis. There was the
oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, well, there was a defense secretary under Obama and then Trump, James Mattis, but he spelled it differently. He spelled it Mattis. I spell it Mattes. But yeah, I like that. I think I'll call myself Mad Dog Mattis.
Coming after the duopoly for the county board in McHenry County.
Yep, and
District
there's my
1.
partner, Ruthie the cat, right up there. How you doing, Ruthie?
She made it through COVID okay.
Yeah, she's fine.
I heard that there was a little bit of a sickness, and she went to the vet, and then she was good to go. She wasn't eating her food and all that.
Yeah, so Illinois is one of the top, I think it's the #1 pumpkin producing state in the country. But when we had the COVID lockdowns and all of the supply chain disruptions, we didn't have pumpkin on the shelf for about 6 months. And she needs a little pumpkin mixed into her food to keep her regular. And when that stopped, then it got pretty ugly. So, but she's much better now.
Well, that's good to hear.
Mm-hmm. I say she's much better now. She's going to have a hairball.
Perfect timing.
She's got candy.
See, and now I have a hairball.
Come here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ruthie's got her own Clubhouse page. That's what I use when I'm on my iPad. So someday she'll be the most famous libertarian cat.
She's getting the video treatment today on the Lunatic Libertarian, though.
Yes. Well, her and I got high with Vermin Supreme on a Zoom call a couple months ago. That was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excuse me. This is Delta 8. I'm sorry.
Oh. There's actually a lot of people around who have COVID. So
I don't have COVID. This is THC Delta 8 that I'm. It's legal in Wisconsin. It's one of the things.
So it's vape.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I very much want the real thing, but yet again, you have to abide by all these rules and regulations of the world.
Right. I'm going to light a cigar. It's a regular tobacco cigar. I can have 3 of these a week and still be considered a non-smoker under my health insurance. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, they can go fuck themselves. All the heroes in the medical industry, this is the Lunatic Libertarian talking now, nobody else. You can go fuck yourself with all your fucking processes and billing mistakes and coding mistakes and insurance mistakes. And you do the shit on purpose so that it lags, so that you can bill somebody and then it's got to be corrected. This shit with specialists, and I got to see a specialist for this and that and the other. I'm sorry, but I've met a lot of doctors that do not like me because I'm a very, very, very highly skilled diesel technician, and I understand the process of what you have to do to troubleshoot. And when it comes to the human body, it still applies. And most of these doctors, when you get into the nitty gritty with them, don't have a fucking clue unless AI spits the fucking answer out to them on the computer screen. Mm-hmm. So most doctors and I don't agree. And it's because the troubleshooting doesn't match the path of the tree that you would normally see.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that I think I have a tendon or some kind of issue there in my shoulder, and you're telling me to go get an x-ray when it cannot pick up any kind of information on a tendon. So that's just my rant right there about the heroes of the healthcare system that spout COVID bullshit and all that. And I'm not even going to get into any of COVID's bullshit, since Dr. Fauci just pretty much told everybody that wasn't going to wear a mask and wasn't going to comply with any of the COVID regulations, that they were pretty much fucking right.
But it's midterms. About the boy who cried wolf, they can't expect us to ever listen to them with, as intently ever again. And I hope they realize that.
You can totally tell that it was a political viewpoint. It's midterms now. Their poll numbers, as far as on the federal level and the Democratic Party, are shit. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's a complete lie that everybody was trying to expose, and then finally it came out, and it is what it is. Everybody that has sat here from Jump Street, and you can go to my Instagram and look at videos that I posted from when the whole COVID shit started. I think it was in like February or April, when the lockdown started hitting. I was just like, no, they're not going to give them up. And I've had the same viewpoint from Jump Street, so this is nothing new. It
was 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago, yesterday or the day before that. But Facebook does here's your memories of a couple of years ago. 2 years ago, put up the meme from Spaceballs of Princess Vespa with her big hair dryer, and bring only what's necessary with you. And that was what they were calling essential workers back then. And I can't believe that's already 2 years ago. It's the longest 2 weeks of my life these past 2 years.
Well, and I have always been designated an essential worker, so I wasn't really worried about that.
Me too.
But to be put in that classification, it's like, hey, this is not a real thing to me. I don't understand why anything has to change. Because my viewpoint is, because of my life experiences beyond my own suicide attempt, is that you're going to die anyway one of these days, and nobody can tell me the day or the cause. I walked down the street and I got hit by a fucking dump truck, or I woke up and I climbed out of bed and I slipped on something that was on my floor and I cracked my skull against the fucking nightstand. You know, a fucking
I
jack
drive
fails.
a cargo van in Illinois on Illinois roads all day, every day. I mean, 60, 70,000 miles a year. So I probably got the most dangerous life.
You're like the deadliest catch, bro.
I've never even
Especially in
getting,
Illinois.
never even looked into getting life insurance. But my grandmother actually just passed away a couple of months ago at the ripe young age of 104. So I've got some genetics that'll keep me around, and gonna live my life.
See, and I'm gonna do a Jack Casey on you because I think that's a conspiracy theory that it's actually not genetics. I think these are people that actually were being fed real food and actually having real nutrition and not having a pharmaceutical or an industrial complex behind their health. So and then you look at margarine and lard and all these things that were implemented for cheap nutrition back in the 40s and 50s. And guys, if you look at the timelines, people dropping dead in their 50s from heart attacks across the country from eating this shit on a daily.
Yeah,
like it was cool. There's nothing wrong with it. Smoke 100 cigarettes a day, pound a fucking nightcap or a few or a half bottle, whatever, just and eat your TV dinner, get up, go to work the next day. That's pretty much, eat this shitty food, enjoy your little fucking shitbox house. And that's what everybody was told. Oh, this is American dream. You have everything you need: food, water, shelter, clothing, and a job. And you have the luxuries to, now you can buy a car, but holy fuck, that car is $3,000. It's an expense, and now fuel. Here's an embargo. You're not going to get supplied it anymore at a cheap price. We're going to fuck everybody because it's a business aspect. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, I mean, people say that it was the American dream. I really don't believe that. I think that the American dream happened before before we had a Federal Reserve, before we had a central banking system, before we had the Roaring 20s, before we had prohibition on alcohol, before any of that shit. I mean, that's when people came to the country to be free.
Yeah.
And they did some hard shit to try and be free.
Yeah. Oh, they drank a lot back in the day to make up for it too. That's how they got by.
Well, and water wasn't always the best thing too. They didn't quite understand bacteria in water. What? Hold on, let me go check with my producer. Hey, fact check that for me. Yeah, I don't have one, so I don't have a date or time of actually when that would actually be appropriate to say when humans understood that boiling water actually killed the bacteria in it, so that it made it healthy to drink. But now we're told that fluoridating our water and putting it through chemical treatment plants is better for us, as far as it's still going to go through some fucking cast iron rusty ass pipe as it hits your faucet.
Yeah. Well, I went to Southern Illinois University. I was in the aviation program down there, and we were one of the top party drinking schools in the country when I was there. And our mascot.
You beat us? You beat Wisconsin?
I think we did. Our mascot is the Saluki, which is an Egyptian hunting dog. So we always had Egyptian theme around the campus. And if you look up beer, the history of beer, the Egyptians actually started beer back 6,000-7,000 years ago because water was so dangerous. It was safer to drink beer. So it all ties.
And it was called mead, correct?
Yeah, that might be true. But
it was the nectar of the gods. That's all I understood about mead, especially on the Egyptian or the Norse aspect.
I like sake. I like when I go to a hibachi restaurant and they squirt the sake in your mouth.
Fuji apple sake, I would recommend. That is excellent. Fuji apple sake. I had one. See, you're bringing up a chance that it was not a hibachi restaurant. It was actually a very high-end Japanese sushi restaurant that my former principal and math teacher and tutor took me to. I went to an alternative high school and junior and middle school, so these are two individuals that probably helped me along my journey, probably to make me the person that I am. But yeah, he was raised in Japan. His name is Aki. His name's Akira Gamblin. So his first name is Japanese. And he took me down to this place in Milwaukee off of Prospect, Zoomies. And he's, I was of age. I had been out of the military. They were like, "Oh yeah, you're back now," and woo woo. "Oh, come on, let's go have dinner, okay?" And yeah, they paid for it, and fucking him and I drank like 3 or 4 of them. He's like, "You want to do more?" And I'm like, "I gotta drive, man." But yeah, we put down some sake, and he's like, "It's good, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fucking good. The food's good too. We had good sushi. I had salmon and a couple other cuts of tuna, and it was excellent. It was a great experience."
Have you ever tried Indian beer?
Indian Pale Ale.
No, a beer. Well, might be. What I'm thinking of is Royal Challenge or Kingfisher, any of the brands of beer that are from the country of India.
I can say that I probably have drinking Indian beer, but I cannot know the name because it was actually written in Indian, and the bottle was like purple. And the dude that I was buying it from said, "Yeah, this is some good stuff." And yeah, I don't really remember them nights. I just remember what the bottle looked like. And yeah, I probably drank quite a few Indian ales over the years.
This was when I was working at the gas station, and I had employees from Pakistan and employees from India, and they were always fighting each other.
Yeah.
But
And there are nuclear powers, and that shit's real too.
It was
You don't hear shit about that.
You're gonna like my food. You're gonna like my culture. But the best Indian beer is it's called Royal Challenge, and I took the Royal Challenge, and I usually passed.
I'm done with all that shit. I'm drinking my little cheap liney Kugels. It's not the worst.
You got the it's the Arnold Palmer of beer.
Yeah, it's good though. But I drink these as well.
Is that an IPA?
Yes, and it's a passion fruit orange guava IPA.
Lovely. I'm drying up. I'm driving our friend Thomas Queter and his wheelchair van all the way from here in Illinois out to the Reno convention. And then in Reno, I'll probably be part of his daily transportation. And when I had the Illinois State Convention back in October, I drank way too much and did not enjoy it. I had a good time, but that's from what I remember. So I want to be really clear-headed, be smoking a lot of weed, doing a lot of other stuff, but not going to be drinking on this trip. So got to get myself adjusted for that.
I told Stephen Witt
to be clear-headed when I have a campaign going too. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I told Stephen Witt because we have a podcast set up for tomorrow, and I said, "Yeah, dude, I'm not trying to drink on the podcast anymore because it seems like the further along in my podcast, you can hear my voice start to slur, and the words ain't coming out quite as clear, and I don't want to be disrespectful to the guest and start going off on tangents and shit like that."
Yeah,
so.
Right. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Some of my best nights on Clubhouse are nights that I was so drunk I don't remember, but it worked. I got followers and people tell me that I was telling great stories. So what's cool is when you can have that personality and when it's highlighted by the booze or whatever, but it's great that you don't need it. So, when it's there as a nice boost every once in a while or a bonus, it's cool. But when you start to rely on it, that's when it's working against your own interests.
Exactly, and that's why I was like, yeah, I spent too much time editing the podcast, and I can't drink the heavy stuff anymore if I drink at all. And it's better to, if I'm taking it more seriously, which I absolutely am. I'm paying for StreamYard now. Fucking Facebook put me in jail because I told Bootleg in a boxing match that I would beat his ass.
Yeah.
And I don't care how big you are, Bootleg. I'm a little 5'8" Puerto Rican, Norwegian, little fucking tornado, bro. And I'm right now about 198. So I'm, yeah, dude. Even if you're 6'2", my arms are probably longer than yours. So I have pretty long arms for my my height. So in a boxing match, and I've been doing boxing for years. So I think in a boxing match, dude, it would be a no contest. I told them we should just do a fucking claymation of celebrity death match. The Lunatic Libertarian versus the bootleg Libertarian in celebrity death match. I think that would be fucking great.
I'll put on the referee shirt and be Judge Mills Lane. Let's get it on. And no, man, Facebook jail. I can't believe it. I've never been there myself, but I hear that it's like real jail. You go in with a minuscule amount of knowledge in crime, and you come out with a master's degree. So if you come out of Facebook jail, you're like a
No, I've been to real jail, and I've talked to real criminals and real gangsters, and yeah, you can learn some shit in jail about how business actually works, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny. I don't know if you follow like Al Prophet on YouTube or any of that, but that guy has done some serious historical research on this country with the government and its affiliations with criminal organizations and shit like that, like the mafia in World War II, as far as protecting the naval yards in Jersey and shit like that. So it's real. I mean, just check your history. It's real.
Yeah.
So be informed. Don't talk about facts with me. Just talk about your resources, and we can go and check it, because that's really the thing, is that what's written in books. I mean, it's all debatable. It's all debatable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. No secret ever lasts forever. There's some that last for a long time, and if there's anybody who's good at keeping a secret, it's the government. They've got professional experience, but you can't keep something in the shadows forever. Eventually it catches the light of day.
Well, and I think Alex Jones was talking about everything that's happening now 20 years ago, and it was a fucking joke.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And that guy's right about more than he's wrong. I mean,
yeah. And just satirically, things that you would see on TV in the 70s and in movies. The movie Network was supposed to be a horror story, and we can't ever let this become real life. But now that's exactly what broadcast news is. And it was like that a long time ago. So
They Live with Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Stay asleep. Breed. Just be a worker. Do what I tell you. Yeah. Everything's okay. Keep running that rat race. So yeah, it's shit's crazy, man. I
hate when they use those broad terms. They talk about workers and they talk about families. When I say they, I guess I'm talking about the Democrats. But when you see them out in campaigns, and here in Illinois, they're talking about money, suspending the gasoline tax, and they always talk about it in terms of, we're going to do this to save families money. And when they're talking about unions, it's always workers' rights, this and that. And why don't they just say people? Why don't they just say individuals?
Yeah, I don't know, man. We're at 1 hour and almost 18 minutes. I don't think over an hour broadcast is going to happen on YouTube. So we're probably going to have to wrap this up as far as this. But yet again, this is going to be recorded. We can probably blend some shit together. But as far as the actual campaign that you're going to run, let people know where you're at. Let people know how they can contact you. I know you're engaged on Clubhouse. I know you're engaged on Facebook. I know you're engaged on a lot of different platforms. So where can they find you, and where they can donate if they want to, as far as their time and volunteering, or with their money?
I've got the website, ken2022.us. I've seen it scrolling, I think, in your ticker, but it's ken2022.us. I've got all my contact information up there. Don't have a button for people to volunteer yet, because I don't have much of a campaign team in place. I've got my campaign manager and I've got a treasurer. We're going to be reworking. I have 2 Facebook pages. I've got my personal one, and I've also got a precinct committeeman Ken Mattis page that is set up as like a celebrity politician, set up more for a business than for a person. And that's probably going to change to just be Ken Mattis for county board. But that change isn't going to be coming for a little while. I've got to make a official campaign announcement video, a 90-second thing. And I'm lucky. I've got a nice ex-girlfriend who does stuff like that, video production. She took all the photos for my website. She's not doing it for free because that's illegal, but she's giving me a very good discount. And it's all on the up and up. I'm getting receipts and all that. But I'm going to make a big professional-looking campaign announcement video and change over that Facebook page. But yeah, I'm on Clubhouse. I've got a little bit of an Instagram presence with that handle, ken2022.us. But once I get my campaign announced, make that video, my campaign manager, Dan, has a plan for me to start making regular posts and try to use the beast against it, Facebook, Instagram. Probably going to stay away from Twitter, but I cannot speak highly enough about Clubhouse and how much Clubhouse has helped my personal libertarian, if you want to call it, career. But the number of people that I've met, you, Justin, Thomas, I think I first got involved when my friend Dan Lewis posted a page about Ashley Shade having a room. I ended up volunteering for her and kicking ass at phone banking. So that's all because of Clubhouse. So I'll be on there as much as I can. It's been up and down lately, but I like to be on there. So I'll be there. And I've also got a YouTube channel. So I'll try to have some live videos at least once in a while on there too. But everything will be like the central hub will be my website, ken2022.us.
Okay, and I would say if you're going to do live videos and if you have a YouTube channel to start running, I think StreamYard for the professional account where you have all the glitz, glitz and the glamour is only like $40-$50 a month. So
that's not bad. Okay.
But yes,
that could be a campaign expense.
Well, exactly. So, yeah. I mean, or if you want to come on to Lunatic Libertarian, we can have you on here whenever you want, man.
Awesome.
I want to publicly apologize to Bull Johnson for falling asleep before his interview. I really am very, very sorry, sir. The body just gave out. It really did. It just gave out. And when I woke up at 8 o'clock, I was like, holy fuck, man. And then come to find out when I came upstairs and try and test my mic, my adapter had broken. So we wouldn't have been able to do the podcast. I was extremely more pissed off than I probably should have been. But, these things happen. We're still kicking and cruising. I have to touch base with Steve Sheets and Joe Sarasco. Did I say his name right? Joe Salasco, not Sarasco, Salasco. Joe Salaski is the key to Pennsylvania, right? And he and Steve Sheets are participating in a new party called the Keystone Party in Pennsylvania. So I was hoping to get my re-interview with Steve. And actually, Joe was actually supposed to be on the interview on Friday, last Monday, but he had to work late and shit didn't work out. So,
well, we have a thing called nap roulette here in the Midwest. You just lay down, and who knows if it's going to be for 5 minutes or 5 hours.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. This is a bunch of fun, and really appreciate being on here.
I hope I didn't slur too much. I hope everything's been cool as far as the topics and everything. It seems like a real cool kind of conversation, but we're probably going to end this right now. Stay with me, and we're just going to end the recording. Lunatic Libertarian, going live, getting the video camera going, getting everything rock and rolling. I got to get rid of this sunset in the background because it's about 6:22, so I know I'm going to have to deal with that sun now. But Ken Mattis, thank you very much, sir. Ken2022.us. Ken Mattis, McHenry County Board, District 1, Lunatic Libertarian. He kept his promise. I kept mine on Clubhouse. We were going to do the verse video recording together. We did it. This is how libertarians rock and roll when they're about the cause. Libertarianism, get after people. Be relentless, Ken, in your campaign. You'll get that seat. And I'm out.